So, hello, and a massive hello to everybody. I hope everybody's having a great day wherever you are, whatever you may be doing. This is 50 Pips, rocking and rolling, no trade calls or recommendations or responsible on stuff here for educational purpose only. 30th of September 2020, last day of the month, last end of the quarter, and we've had the first presidential debate that's gone. We also have Lagarde speaking and some other data, but really, on a day like today, it's all about flows. I mean, I didn't even watch the debate. I'm really not too bothered. I didn't think it's going to be a big deal. Let's focus on charts. On a day like today, you would expect that at some point of the day, especially tech, you'll see the market try and mark things up. So you'll see some buying coming in. So it doesn't have to happen, but that would be the base case assumption. Now, here, if you look at the daily, you see that everything is kind of in a chop zone. Aussie inside these moving averages, Kiwi inside these moving averages, EJ inside these moving averages, Euro GPB, Swissy, CAD, Cable, Euro, Yen not so much, but gold, silver, crude. So what this means is that you should expect a lot of chop, as we discussed, until and unless we break outside of these ranges. Okay, so you have to be a little bit careful here. So especially in terms of the bigger picture, right here, right now, it's hard to make a big assumption or a big call on the bigger picture until we get through month-end flows, quarter-end flows. So what we can do here is try and look at things a little bit more tactically. Now, what is clear is that as long as these highs don't get hit, you'd expect possible downside. These highs don't get hit, possible downside, right? For these to work in terms of ping pong inside these zones, right? Now, what we discussed is that it's very difficult to understand if all these month-end flows that have been going on, have they been sell flows that are being absorbed by the market, or are they buy flows that have been absorbed for the market? So we'll only know afterwards. Now here, my base case assumption is still that if you have to think about is that sooner or later they'll come in with some kind of stimulus, something will pump it up so the market will stay bid and not completely roll off a cliff right here, right now. I think what is interesting for today in terms of location, and I'm going to make a bold call that is probably going to be proven wrong in 5 minutes, but I wouldn't be surprised if we've put in a low here into the open on the NASDAQ. If you remember here, we looked at this area. We even had those 15-minute shorts, sorry, that was in the daily webinar for the move back down. And this is a big pivotal level. So the assumption here is that, especially if we can get back above this zone tactically, we could easily have put in a low for the overnight session, or at least until we get into opening flows. And then, if they pump this up, this could even be the low for the day. We'll have to see. As always, nothing to be gained by making hero calls. But if you assume that it's month end, quarter end, if you assume that that is pretty much the close price, if you assume that this has been some wheeling and dealing because absolutely nothing has happened overnight, it doesn't seem to be crazy to me to say that if this area holds, right, longs aggressively here or on a 1 hour close above here with this size stop, are not interesting for a move back into unchanged and a possible grind higher to take out the overnight highs in today. Remember, when you get these levels in an overnight session set, something like a spike high like this or a spike low, it is extremely rare that that level doesn't get retested. Does it mean it has to get tested today? No. Does it mean it has to get tested in the next seconds? No. But globally in the near future, both those areas tend to get tested again. So again, chop. We're still inside this range. Nothing much has happened on NASDAQ, and we'll know once we get outside in a little bit of a more detail. And you can see here on the weekly, we're struggling around this 10-day moving average. So by the end of the week, if we close below, high chance we'll go back down and test these lows. If we close above, good chance we'll try and squeeze them back into the 12,000 level. So that's pretty much where we are on the NASDAQ. And you can look at that even on something like the on the Dow. See, if we extend these lines we've been using this week, you see where this is trying to base. It's trying to base exactly into this area. So this would be the same assumption as on the NASDAQ. If this holds, right, as a low, you would expect this to be try and go at least back into yesterday's close. And we've got ES is hovering here kind of in the middle of nowhere. But again, it's really tricky to make these calls at this time, very liquid time of day. If that plays out, what would you assume? You would have to assume that if that plays out, you would assume that the market will stay bid. You'll assume that there's some kind of buyers coming in on crude, and therefore that would mean that you would be particularly interested in looking for short opportunities on CAD. Oops, sorry. Are we back? I had to sneeze. So here, the issue here is, do you have to close your eyes and sell them? Absolutely not. But this an area where you want to be very focused, looking at the action, look for negative closes on the 15-minute, on the 1 hour to try and trade some shorts? Absolutely, because the risk reward is so tight. You know, you're talking about 10 pip stops. So sell here, stop above these highs. You know, this doesn't even have to come. You know, it's a 1 to 3, well, 1 to 2.5 back into mid. You've got plenty of room even to structure this as a previous day setup, as we discussed in the foundationals, right? This could even just come back down here and break, and you'd be a BE trade. This could break, or this could come down. But given the chance with this kind of setup with negative closes at highs, I'd always take this because the payout is so high, especially if this works out. So this is a setup I'm looking at very, very closely. The other thing that's going to be that I would not necessarily be interested because of the headline flow is Euro GBP. Very, very tight. People will look to sell this break for a move back into the lows, but it's just the risk reward is not interesting enough to me. In the same kind of manner, cable is trying to reverse on the 1 hour, but the range is so tight, we usually like to stick away from these kind of ranges. But you see here in a situation, as I discussed in the daily webinar too yesterday, when you've had, globally speaking, the equities being bid, right? Gold and silver catching a bid in a situation when dollar and stocks are trading pretty much in sync, it's a really hard environment to want to get aggressively short Aussie on Kiwi. You would expect those to continue to stay bid. But again, it's a tricky one. We have to wait for today to finish. Let's be patient. Let's see what happens. I hope this is useful and helpful. All the best, guys. Talk to you guys soon. Take care. Bye-bye.